Welcome to the Nicole Small Show, where we give you straight talk with no chaser. Here, we discuss issues from the White House to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Good morning and welcome to the Nicole Small Show. Today is Monday, May the 3rd. We've made it into May. A couple things that we are going to talk about today. First and foremost, a young lady was killed while working on her house yesterday. I guess an SUV pulled up while she was working on her home. Looks like early evening, and now she's in a hospital in critical condition. I don't know what's going on in our community, but this needs to stop. And we're hearing about so many incidents about men shooting at women. You know, one of our dear family members in the community, you know, he just experienced that not that long ago with his granddaughter. You know, I know we've had killing going on for quite some time, but there's something to be said about the number of incidents that are increasing of Black men killing Black women, and you're shooting at them. I mean, what a coward. You're such a damn coward. Anyway, you have to shoot these women. It's absolutely disgusting. So our thoughts and prayers go out to her family. Hopefully she has a recovery. Also, you know, anyone else who's experiencing these types of challenges, I just really think that it's sad. It's really, really sad. So a lot of you know about the comments from Senator Tim Scott. Now they're calling him Uncle Tim. And they were also, in my opinion, to some degree, his comments that, you know, this country, the United States of America, is not a racist country. Is there another United States of America that maybe I don't know about? Like, I remember being in social studies, and like we looked at the map of the world and, you know, things like that. I don't recall there being another United States of America. Maybe I missed that. Hey, maybe there's something new. They had this new math going on. So maybe there's another United States of America that I don't know about. So the problem with the question that I have is, think about it. He made this statement. Then President Biden and VP Harris, they followed up and they agreed. Now, while they didn't agree with all of the context of Uncle Tim's statements about, you know, United States not being a racist country. And don't forget, you know, he's a staunch Republican. You know, he don't care how they treat him like a doormat. I remember one time Trump was giving an address somewhere, and, you know, he shook everybody else's hand and wouldn't shake Uncle Tim's hand, Tim Scott. And I'll never forget that. And you still support this man and his antics 100%. The fact, it's not even just about the handshake. It's the fact that you support someone who has clearly taken a position against people of color and Black people specifically. And it ain't no doubt about it that the color of Tim's skin is Black. You know, it's just amazing to me. So anyway, you know, you have VP Harris to go and make her comments about, you know, she too doesn't believe that the United States of America is a racist country. While she did give some other context around it, this is exactly what I was talking about when she was running for office, when Black people was jumping up and down and you just were going to make her Black. You cannot make somebody something and they haven't clearly defined to take a position like that themselves. I'll never forget years ago, Halle Berry, you know, her mother is white. She said it was clear to her when she was young that she was Black. Now that's the position that she taken. That doesn't mean that she doesn't love her mother any less. That was position that Halle Berry took, right? Then you got old Tiger Woods. He done went and made up some garbage, but y'all want to love on him too. You just gonna love on Tiger Woods, and you just gonna make him be the best golf player, which he is great. His skill is phenomenal, but you just gonna make him be Black when he done told you that he not taking ownership of being Black. And the same thing with Kamala. I mean, my God, when we had the Democratic convention, she they had both her and Biden to show young people who they felt saw themselves in their light. And she picked an Indian American girl. You can't make that woman denounce her mama. You can't. And there's something wrong that we have the top two leaders of this country, the president and the vice president, saying that this is not a racist country. In a day and time of George Floyd. Because see, I don't care what that verdict is. Let's be clear about something. The reason why they did it in broad daylight in front of a group of people is because they felt that the systems in this country were going to protect them. That's why they did it. And for so long, and still to this day, it's the same system in this country that operates, the majority of this country, that still protects that type of behavior. That has some officers out there. When a young lady was just stabbed not that long ago, somebody's asking him, telling the young man who was filming, you know, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna shoot me too? He said, are you gonna stab someone? Then you had another officer to say, yeah, blue lives matter, after you done shot that girl in the doggone chest. So don't tell me about this system, about this country not being a racist country. They prove it to us all the time. The vast majority, not just like 51%, the vast majority, the super majority of people who are in positions of power don't like us. And it's not just white people. You have people of other races who are supposed to be considered minorities that can't stand black people, who think that we are bottom feeders. So for both of them to get up there and to say, well, why they don't align basically with Tim Scott's, a lot of his positions on things, but you gonna say that this isn't a racist country? How dare you, sis? How dare you? I expect for Biden to say it, but how are you gonna say it? And this is what I'm saying about how we elect and we support people. And then they get somewhere, you lost your rabbit ass mind. You gonna say this is not a racist country? Well, what we have going on, that is so insensitive. It is so insensitive. And y'all can get on your soapbox all you want to about her. I said it and I meant it. This is a problem that we have with people who are supposed to stand with us going against us. The timing was horrible, and I don't agree with the statement. I don't care if you in corporate America. I don't care if you in the criminal justice system. I don't care if you in the business sector. The level of racism that Black people experience is unconscionable. You know why? Because this country was built on racism. It was built off the labor of people who look like us, only for them to want to treat us as if we're disposable. That's a problem. But see, the party wants to address what he said, but you don't want to address what she said. So here we go again. We can't have a conversation about, hey, that probably wasn't the best statement for you to make. Biden can make it, and not that I agree with him make it, but it's something to be said about her making that statement. There's a huge disconnect there. It's the same disconnect that we had when she was running for office. Now, I'm not telling you you shouldn't have supported her, because I don't care. I wasn't supporting Trump in any of his antics, so it wasn't going to take much for me. But there's a problem. And everybody wanted to be, oh, that's our sister, that could be your sister. I got sisters who, listen, they not Black. I'll stand with them on the front lines in the doggone war. That's fine. But here it is. You have them making that kind of statement. That's not true. That's not true. And you know what? It's not our experience. And she should have been, VP Harris should have been more sensitive to that. And I'm not going to give her a pass for that, but you shouldn't either. It was just as wrong when she said it, just because she backed it up with a few words that said, you know, like maybe some things should change and all of that. It don't make it right. But we always do this. Oh, well, we can't say nothing about them. Yes, we can. Yes, we can. As the second in charge, you get up here and you make a statement like that when they still out here slaughtering us in the doggone streets. Absolutely. We could say something about who's supposed to be, y'all call her a black woman. That's who side she's supposed to be on. I thought she's supposed to represent our interests. I think that was very irresponsible. So speaking of black people wanting to go against other black people in the reality to side with the white racist ideology, last week, Governor Whitmer on a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock sent the Detroit Charter Commission her clear opposition to the Detroit Charter. Now, we know that was fueled by Duggan. I told you guys last week he had hired Buzz Thomas to push some people, some stakeholders to get Whitmer to vote no. What I didn't tell you, which is what also came out in Friday, let me back up and tell you about, y'all call her Big Gretch, Weak Gretch. Do you know she sent this doggone letter to the chair of the Charter Commission? I think she sent it to her after she sent it to the news media. Several other people knew about this earlier that morning. She didn't even have the decency to make a call to the chair to say, hey, I'll be sending down a decision. No respect anywhere. When we've had over 1,000 people in total in the city of Detroit to engage in this process, how disrespectful, because they're your constituents as well. And you don't even give us a heads up. Everybody else know about it before us. That's how you treat us. But that's on the chair to address. I addressed it in my own way. And so in a Detroit News article, and I'm going to read this because it came to my attention that some of you may not have known. Now, who sent me this? Where did I get? Okay. Some of you may not have known that the entire context around the response. So there was a coalition of clergy, union leaders, and lawmakers, state lawmakers. And we knew about Duggan. He started last year with the state lawmakers trying to get them to oppose this charter, right? So, and I believe he even went to the lieutenant governor as well. Let's see how that would have worked out. So we find out that, where is that at? Where is the, here we go, right here. The Reverend Horace Sheffield is among a coalition of state lawmakers, union leaders, clergy who oppose the plan. A coalition. It's a whole coalition. Union leaders, clergy, and state lawmakers. Wonder how many of them came to us about the charter. My colleague, Commissioner Winder, is going to be on here later. And we're going to talk some more about it. But I want to read this statement now, and I'm going to read it again for those who come on later when Commissioner Winder and I begin to talk about this. It says, he, talking about Reverend Horace Sheffield, noted the proposal would alter the method in which some positions are appointed, including the city police chief and corporation counsel. It would prevent the city's mayor, no matter who that might be, because you know his daughter want to run for mayor, he said, from holding those positions accountable. Although the plan seeks to boost oversight and accountability, boy, wait for this part, wait for it, wait for it, wait for it. Sheffield argues the city already has sufficient checks and balances. The same Sheffield who was out there raising hell about Mike Duggan trying to steal the city and how the majority of council wasn't doing nothing about it. That same shit, they must have misquoted him. Now, I know they must have misquoted him. They had to. He said he argues the city already has sufficient checks and balances. Oh, the same city who allowed for Mayor Duggan to come before them, the same city council, and that's where the checks and balances are supposed to happen, let's be clear, that allowed the Mike Duggan to reallocate grant dollars, block grant dollars, to be reallocated to demolition. And when couldn't nobody tell you until an auditor general came out about how he was misappropriating funds? That same the same city council who allowed him to take dollars and grant dollars to go put $9 million into bike lanes instead of fixing sidewalks or maybe creating a program for the fire department and the police department and EMTs and everybody to be able to have access to more money to be able to reside in. The same city council who said, yes, Slumlord Kelly, with 800 blight tickets, we're going to forgive $1.8 million in property taxes and all 800 blight tickets for you. The same city council that has not answered my letter that I submitted months ago about where this 90-something million in CARES Act money has gone. Checks and balances sufficient. Let me tell you what the white folks would do in the suburbs. They turn that city upside down because, you know, they don't just throw F-bombs. They throw chairs in the meetings. Sufficient. So that's sufficient for Black people in a majority Black city, for poor brown people. Even you white folks should be up in arms about this. I know you know that the checks and balances are not sufficient. Even those of you who support Duggan, you will speak out against the ineptness of the city council as a majority. But sufficient. Sufficient. How is it sufficient checks and balances when your daughter on the end, where only 3 of them, they can't get nothing passed on the doggone city council? That's sufficient? That's sufficient? When what she's supposed to be voting for the people is always getting shut down. That's sufficient checks and balances. Let's be clear here about that statement. Prove it. Prove it. The only checks and balances I could think about is when Duggan go and pay some of these folks off. And only people who getting paid off would be supporting that. I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement, but I'll continue. To diffuse the authority of the mayor and begin to parcel out parts of that to different people on different boards is not the answer. To diffuse the authority of the mayor and begin to parcel out parts of that to different people on different boards is not the answer. City council is just a board. I thought they were a whole legislative branch. Board of police commissioners. So he wants to talk about the chief of police, right? I'm going to tell you something that's really going to get you going. This is how I know this is all a bunch of bull. There was a proposal. Let me tell you what, I'm going to read this. Let me stop getting off track. I'm going to read this and I'm going to tell you, it's going to blow your mind about his statement right here and about how the chief of police is appointed and how he has a problem with it. And wait until I tell you the proposal that was sent by somebody who I thought he was aligned with. So anyway, it says they want to pass this plate to everybody and that's not the way to run a city. We passing the plate to everybody? Everybody. So Detroiters wrote the charter, the public, and so we did our due diligence, right? We did our due diligence to make sure that, you know, these things can actually happen. So we passing the plate to everybody? Oh, I thought passing the plate to everybody was when the mayor was still giving away land to suburbanites and other people for pennies on a dollar, screwing over Detroiters. I thought passing the plate to everybody is when the mayor is sitting up here giving 80% of demolition contracts to white contractors and suburban contractors who not even hiring our people. I thought passing the plate to everybody was when you got folks coming from the suburbs who getting all kind of amenities to be able to open up a business. I thought that was passing the plate to everybody. I didn't know it was considered passing the plate to everybody when we were doing the work of what Detroiters were asking us within the guise of the law. I didn't know that. But it's funny how we passing the plate to everybody. And we passed the plate over there when we rented space in Daybo. How we passing the plate to everybody? Wasn't no problem then. See, it's these types of statements that are insulting to the work that not only the commission has done, but the public. And based on these statements, if they have quoted him in his entire context, he wrong for that. He wrong for that. Because you're going to sit here and say that it's passing the plate to everybody when we include Detroiters and how they want to see they city operate. And this wasn't open to, unlike this so-called coalition that they're talking about, this process was open to everybody. So if you want to talk about pass the plate. Then he says, we need a strong mayor, one who can appoint a chief of police and be able to hold people accountable. We sure do, but we don't have one. I know there are people who have issues with this mayor. I thought he was one of them people. You know, there's people who had issues with this mayor. I thought Horace Sheffield was one of the people who had issues with this mayor. So you ain't standing on it. So you don't have no issues with this mayor. I know there are people who have issues with this mayor. Well, I'll be Jim Brown. Dig that. But my basis of not supporting this is the what, not the who. So you gonna tell all of us with all of this work, all of us. That includes the commission and those of you from the public who participated, right? You just worried about the role of the mayor and him not appointing solely the chief of police. Okay, you gonna shut all of that work down. It's that easy for you. Oh, okay. But my basis of support, okay, is the what, not the who he added, referring to Mayor Mike Duggan. The AG's review concluded that the proposed charter includes provisions that are inconsistent with the requirements of the Homeroom City Act. So then they go into which our general counsel has looked through it. I've looked through the majority of the opinion. There may be like a few things that we can tweak just as far as wording to make sure that it's fully within the guise of the law. And then the rest of it was just a bunch of opinions they sent us, but they were not illegal. So that whole comment from the AG's office about grave legal deficiencies, I think that was a bit exaggerated. So let me say this. We all know Mary Sheffield supposed to be running for mayor. Fine. From what I hear, the reason why she didn't run this time is because Duggan claimed he gonna support her next time, so she didn't step down. However, do your thing, Mary, to advance your political agenda. But the part that killed me is how can he come out and talk about how the chief of police is appointed when, don't y'all remember, there was a group called the Bill of Rights. Wasn't Mary there at the press conference? Wasn't she saying that her and Lopez were apart, were leading the Bill of Rights from the city council? Don't y'all remember that? It was a whole press conference in front of the Spirit of Detroit. I remember that. Guess what the Bill of Rights wanted? They wanted for the mayor, for the chief of police not to even report to the mayor. Now, let me just be clear. They didn't even want the chief of police to report to the mayor. That came out of the Bill of Rights. I know I said that's not going to work. Now, we're not going to be able to get to pass that. I don't agree with it anyway. Now, you know I'm not siding with the mayor, but what I'm saying is I don't think that it would be beneficial to any city not to have a chief of police meeting with the mayor every week to be abreast of what's going on. I think that that's extremely dangerous in my opinion. Now, y'all can disagree with me if you want to, but that was my thoughts behind it. Now, look. You know I don't like that on the 11th floor, but what I'm saying is I would never want to strip the mayor of being able to be informed about the state of policing and public safety in any city. That was my rationale behind it, right? Currently, we'll talk about all this when Barbara comes on, Commissioner Winder comes on. So I'll delve into the details about that, but I want you to think about something. I said, no, that's not going to work. So the way that it works now, if you read the proposal, the mayor still gets to vote council and the board of police commissioners. So what are these boards that you're talking about? You act like we gave the doggone Quilton committee authority to help go and appoint a police chief. We put it in the hands of a vote from the council, a vote from the board of police commissioners. Police, not the fire, the police commissioners. See, because we didn't do like Duggan. See, Duggan took somebody from the police and made them the fire commissioner. Go figure. You took the police, the guy from the police, and you made him the fire commissioner. See, we didn't do that, but you didn't say nothing about that. What sense do that make? You couldn't find nobody else who was already in the fire department to be the commissioner over the fire department. That's not what we did. We said the board of police commissioners, the city council, and the mayor. I think those three entities are just fine to help appoint a board of police commissioners. But let's get back to the original proposal that was supported by his daughter. We never heard her once come out. The only thing we heard Mary Sheffield say was that she was in full support of the Bill of Rights. Remember, they had everybody down there. They had even asked me to come to the press conference. I couldn't make it because I had a previous engagement to support the work of these community activists and advocates around wanting to see more transparency and equitable behavior from our government. It was Mary Sheffield. So did you have a talk with her? Because she didn't even want the chief of police to report. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong. I remember it. And it was a whole press conference because she's a part of the Detroit squad. Don't forget her, Rashida, and Lopez. So she was all for it. Never once heard Mary contested. And where is she on this charter commission? So you gonna go against what she said? Your biggest issue is one of the things that was pushed by your daughter that you trying to push for me. What sense do this make? You gonna talk about us? You gonna talk about us? And I take this very personally for the simple fact that we leased space over there in Dabo. We was less than 50 feet away. A lot of these revisions were done over there at Dabo. Never heard anything from Horace Sheffield. So to talk about us passing the plate, as if we didn't take, serious consideration into these proposals from Detroiters. Don't you have a community organization? Some of those people live in your district and come to some of those neighborhood meetings right over there at Dabo. Not one time did you say anything to us, but you went and joined a coalition of people and you let Duggan lead the doggone message. That's not right. You just have no respect for us. And unless Sheffield, Mary gonna come out and say, she gonna have to say that she don't support the Bill of Rights in order to get around this one, point blank, period. And a side gonna have to be taken. A lot of those revisions that we have in there did come from the work of the Bill of Rights, period. Lopez and her group, they attended about at least 8 months worth of meetings. Now, while Mary didn't show up, again, she showed up for that press conference and she said she was in full support of the Bill of Rights. So how you gonna not? You didn't talk to us, but you didn't talk to your daughter either. That's a problem. It's a problem for you to say that you were part of a coalition and none of y'all came to talk to us. You know that doggone Duggan. Boy, I don't know. I tell you, he must keep putting the arsenic in the champagne. It's some good stuff. Because all he do is get black folks to pit themselves against each other. He good at that. So now he didn't hire. Let's talk about a week in review for how good Duggan must be feeling last week. Vicki Thomas. I don't care about none of y'all and all your congratulations, Vicki. Great move, Vicki. Great move, Vicki. So Vicki Thomas is considered to be by quite a few people an anchor in journalism. Some of us call her Auntie Vicki. She has been with WWJ. I guess she just retired after 30 years. She has put in some work. She's not a Detroiter, but she has reported on a lot of the issues that directly impact our community. I definitely give her credit for that. It's something to be said about every time Duggan pick one of us off. Why we always so damn happy? I mean, goodness gracious. You know, I'm so happy to be joining them. Just say you happy to get the check. I'll take that. I'll take that. What is she making? 140, 150 over there? I'm quite sure it's far more than she made at WWJ. And I think that she possesses the skill set to deserve it. Not my issue. All I'm going to say is I haven't seen exactly what your body of work is going to be over there, Vicky, but I sure enough hope you're not about to allow him to use you to go against this charter and to frame that narrative, because you know what that means. You ain't no different than Tanya Stoudemire, who can't seem to tell him no, the deputy CFO. I hope you don't let him use you to go against a board of majority Black women when we have done this work, when we have been inclusive to the needs of Detroiters. I just hope that that's what you're not hired from. So I'm going to sit back and wait. But boy, he could get the best of us, don't he? Each and every time. He could change a Black Panther activist into a Duggan supporter. He pull them all over there. Not this one. But he wouldn't want me over there anyway. But it's something to be said. And he was able to get what he's been working for. You know, Duggan has been diligent in his efforts, pushing for the governor. And all of y'all, next year is an election year. Don't come to me about no big Gretch, nothing. Because she didn't have her big girl shoes on to tell him to go handle his business in Detroit and stay the hell out of her business, because that's what she was supposed to do. This is voter suppression. And that's what I want y'all to understand. Let me be clear about something. The mayor said we only should be allowed $30,000 for this year, and that we can only print and translate. He's saying he's going to determine that the majority of you don't even have access to this document, which is the city's constitution. We still putting it on the ballot. We're still putting it on the ballot because they can't stop that. Unless, I guess not, let me shut up. Because now, you know, that means he might go to the county clerk office and tell them stop that too. You know, he stops at nothing. Let's see what kind of influence he gonna have over there, or the election commission in Detroit. Let's see what kind of influence he gonna have over there. But I'm telling you something. These are the things that you should be pissed off about. You're gonna have a white man in power tell a group of Black and brown people, and you white folks too, because he don't want y'all to have it. Those of you white people who be standing with us, and all of y'all with the Detroit Will Breathe, and those of you who sick of not getting your having your city services work for you, because you too bought into old trash get picked up all the time. Now, when you see this poor lighting and you coming from the suburbs and you see that this lighting is just as crappy as it possibly could be, you know, that part. Those white people who getting upset, I want to tap into you. The rest of you who still buying into the Kool-Aid, I'm gonna leave you over there. But those of you who getting pissed off, he said he don't want you to read it either, because then you might see that all of these lies that he's telling, that we want free Wi-Fi and free transportation and everybody, it's a lie. It's a lie. I heard Horace Sheffield say on Fox 2 yesterday, we creating 79 commissions. What document are you reading? See, this is what I'm saying. I don't know what document he gave Horace Sheffield, because a lot of things that he's saying are not true. What document did he give you? Which is all the more reason why you should have come to us. If you were going to talk to the mayor, how dare you not come to us too? That's the part that's wrong. All of you in that coalition. None of you wanted to have a sit down with us? So he could just feed you whatever he wants, and you're going to buy into it. You're going to bite the apple. You're going to bite the apple. This is an opportunity to have real equity in this city for a huge portion of people who have been disenfranchised for so long. But that don't matter to you. All that matters is that masters say it's not good, so it's not good. That's what we doing now. And you supposed to be stakeholders. That's sad. That's sad that he could feed you whatever he want to feed you, and you don't even get the other side, which you know is representing the interests of the community. Now, if you decided to disagree with us on that, that's one thing. But you don't even come to us? So don't ask me to respect your position or your opinion because you didn't even come to us. That's a biased decision. Implicit at that. So Duggan mounts the pressure to Gretchen, which we've been seeing him lead her office for so long when it comes to her picking up his leftovers for appointees, to supporting him in his garbage. And so now she's supporting voter suppression is what she's doing. Let's be clear. Let's be clear about what her decision means. It means that she supports voter suppression because he has stated publicly, well, I mean, if they want to campaign, then they should go raise their own money. Oh, should we? Oh, should we? This is an educational campaign, dum-dum. And we should go raise our own money. So we should raise our own money for Detroiters who have helped write the charter to make sure that at least 400,000 Detroiters have access to what's in the charter. That sounds like public dollars being used for the public. Now, I know the mayor is used to using public dollars for private companies and his friends and family, but we were simply talking about using public dollars for the public, right? This is a public initiative for the city of Detroit. I thought that's the way it works. You want me to tell you why I thought that's the way it worked? Because historically, for all the other charters, that's the way that it works. Nothing changes until Duggan says it changes, right? And you got city council members who go on for this too. And matter of fact, everybody needs to get every council member to take a position on this. Everyone. Haven't heard from him. We did hear from Lopez. We heard from you, Mary, for the Bill of Rights. I'm just saying that a lot of those decisions were out of the Bill of Rights. How you gonna handle that? How you gonna handle that? This is a problem. We allow Mike Duggan to tell us our limitations behind what we can read and comprehend. I tell you today, if we allow this to happen, we are basically giving over all the rest of the power that we currently have. You have literally put yourself back in shackles and put yourself back on the plantation. You didn't open up the gate to where they didn't close it off and said, no, let me get back in my place, to allow Mike Duggan to do that. This is deplorable in 2021. And VP Harris want to say this is not a racist country. We got a white man over a majority black city telling us, well, you could print it, but you can't handle it out. And since when do they do that on the budget? Since when? Since when has there ever been a city budget that a mayor is allowed to say, even though mailing and distributing the information still falls within the parameters of how to use those dollars, he's going to tell us that we can't do that. He's going to tell you that you could, look, only a select few of you can have access to it. That's exactly what he's saying. Where's the coalition against that? So if you guys organized a coalition to oppose the charter, because you're opposing the people when you're opposing this charter. We ended up having more than 500 revisions, more than 300 submissions that turned into more than 500 and some odd revisions. From who? The public. From the public. You know that whole creating of commissions that was quoted in this article that he's opposed to? That came from the Bill of Rights. A lot of those came from the Bill of Rights too. I'm not going to get a Bill of Rights to credit for all of the charter. I just want y'all to think about something. It was Mary Sheffield and Constantine Lopez, both council people who held a press conference pushing for the Bill of Rights, saying that they supported at the press conference. Remember that. Remember that. So now we're getting pushed back from a coalition. Well, why don't you name your names? Now, let me tell you what I'm going to give Horace credit for. Not only was he the only one quoted in the Detroit News, he got up there on Let It Rip yesterday. He did let it rip. He not hiding. What the rest of those names? Y'all wouldn't meant you organized. It didn't just say we spoke to individually some members of state, and you state lawmakers who running next year. Oh boy, you done threw the rock and hid your hand. Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? Where you at? What's your name? We want to know your name so we can remember this when you run for office. Who are the state lawmakers that are a part of this coalition is what we want to know. Hello, 2022. Some of you going to be running for office. If we got to wait till 2 more years from there, we'll catch you then. What's your name? Why you didn't come out the closet and let us know who you are? Why Horace Sheffield the only member of clergy this out here? It said a coalition. That's a group of people, right? That's coalition building. Where they at? What's your name? And what's the name of this coalition? Do you have a name? Do you have a name, this coalition? Do you have a name? You know, because Detroiters want to know. Forget inquiring minds. Detroiters want to know, do you have a name? Because you met. And all of you came to the same decision that a charter full of safeguards to protect the interests of Detroiters, written by Detroiters, should be opposed because the mayor doesn't like it. That's your reason. But you won't come out and say who you are. So I'm going to give Horace Sheffield that. He came out in the newspaper and on the news. Well, where the rest of you? Maybe, I don't know, maybe he the chair of the coalition, so he speak for everybody. I just want to know the names. I really want to know the names of the state lawmakers. We must find out who you are so we can know where you stand, so we can govern ourselves accordingly for the 2022 election. Gretchen, we already know where you stand, so we will govern ourselves accordingly for that. We know you don't matter because it's enough Black people over there willing to kill us off just to make a few pieces of silver and to stand with you. And I want to know which Black people from Detroit told you that this was wrong. Probably none of them. They not going to say nothing. Because, you know, we'd be so happy that they get a job and they get up there and they quiet as a church mouse or a rat pissing on cotton when it comes to white folks doing us like this. This is voter suppression. So we just going to walk ourselves backwards and deal with this. That's what we're going to do. We just going to walk ourselves backwards. We're going to have each other just dragging us backwards because we're going to support this. This is a sin and a shame, and I keep saying it, no other community would tolerate it. But you know what? It's mighty funny how folks can have a backbone to stand up against a group of Detroiters, but you don't have a backbone to stand up to even ticket them white racists who up there with guns. They came to your job and your house. And you wouldn't even ticket them, but you had Detroiters ticketed for $1,000 ticket in one of the poorest cities in the country. You gonna give us some $1,000 tickets, but you don't stand up to them. But you gonna stand up against us. Remember that. I know the rest of y'all gonna cave and concede. You go ahead and do what you want to do. You gonna let them run John James. So then you just gonna say, oh, I don't want John James instead of you just can't never stay focused on what the problem is. I'm not a John James fan, but I'm a fan of equity for my people. And it's some sacrifices that come along with us actually getting that. Power concedes nothing without a demand. You always want to quote it. Why don't you live it? You need to stop this. Let's take a caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show. You have a question or comment?
Comment in regards to the Robert Picano show this week. Your counsel was on there. I called in. My main reason for calling in is that I felt that the counsel that was representing you was downplaying the situation or the matter. Mm-hmm. I stated that what I felt that our home rule here in the city of Detroit has been violated again.
Yes.
I felt that what the governor did, I think it was more than just a letter, her expressing her concern in a letter format. I felt that what was really being done, I felt that the rights of the people of the city of Detroit were being violated, and they were being violated by this particular coalition that you just mentioned, individuals that choose to remain anonymous, but at the same time, they wield a lot of power and authority here in the city of Detroit. And I felt that the corporate council should have looked at that situation much differently. And I just really feel that a lot of things that are ongoing, we have a lot of enemy amongst us. And I think it is past time that we know who these individuals are. We know who these handkerchief-head pastors are, the NAACP and other powers and authority, people that work in the government itself that have no problem with violating the rights of the citizens of this particular city. They have no right in taking away our voice. They have no rights to abide by what our issues or our opinions are about things. And it is clear that the governor is being ruled and controlled by the powers that be here in this city. Mm-hmm. I believe that Mike Duggan is controlling what the governor thinks, what she says, and how she acts.
Yes, sir. Wait a minute. Who was on Bob Ficano? Was it Lamont Satchel?
It was your whoever the attorney is that's representing the Charter Commission.
Okay, because we have 5 attorneys. Yeah,
I wish you that you could go back because all of those programs on 910 they're recorded. Go back and listen to him because when I tried to stress that, they cut me off. Because I tried to stress that first of all, we should not be looking at this as a mere letter. That nothing in this letter will stop this from appearing on the ballot. It's more than that. It's that the people of the citizens of Detroit have gotten together with our charter commissioners. We, the people, we put our ideals out there, and the charter has now put those ideals by voting and deciding which ones of our ideals that they're going to attend to. So I feel that the rights of the people are being violated. Being violated by the state. I'm thinking about that. Listen, how is it that we can have a charter commission? Their budget has been cut to more than half. More than half, with no justification. How then are the voice of the people being heard at the budget of the charter commissions? Their voice is being limited, what they can say or do, even with the council itself. They're told that they can use the city's council. How do you do that?
That's right.
Isn't that like the chicken garden? The fox garden, the
chicken house. That's right.
I don't understand this. This is wrong. So I felt that your council, and you all need to really go back and listen to that, and you will see.
But hold on. I just wanted to make sure it was our general counsel because we have like 5 attorneys on our commission, and I wanted to just be clear that they said that they were the general counsel, Lamont Satchel. I didn't know if it was Richard Mack or someone else on there. That's why I asked. Was it the actual?
That name Mac, and I think that was the one that was there.
Yeah, that sounds more like sounds more like what he would say because I was gonna be surprised if it was Lamont Satchel on there. Okay, it probably was Commissioner Mack. I'm gonna confirm with Commissioner Willie Burton off the board because he was on that. He should have been on there too, helping host.
He was there also.
Yeah, it probably was Commissioner.
They were downplaying about this letter. They tried to make it seem as though the letter itself was insignificant, that it had no power play on how this will appear on the ballot or whether it would appear on the ballot. It
is going to have a power play if we don't get it together. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think that the citizens of this city, knowing that the governor has now sent a letter opposing what the Charter Commission has stated. She's not opposing them. She's opposing the citizens of this city.
Thank you.
We have a right to home rule in this city, and we should not allow the governor or anybody else to come in and take over our control.
But you know what else we shouldn't allow? You know what else we shouldn't allow? We shouldn't allow for these folks going around here organizing Detroiters who supporting her and working for her to get off unscathed either. That's another thing. You know what? We drag black folks who work for Duggan all the doggone time. And I tell you, I ain't against nobody eating. But I'm going to tell you something. You ain't about to pop up in my face after this, come telling me to vote for nothing about her, period. They need to get her in line and bring her to the table. But see, they not going to do that. We got enough black people working for her. Where y'all at? Are you going to bring her to the table and tell her the way that she did this was wrong? Because don't come in my face telling me nothing else about no Gretchen Whitmer. And all you young black men up here applauding her, calling her Big Gretch, where you at too? You know, this is the problem. We are on, you know what? If we don't get our foot off of our own necks, I don't know what's going to happen. Thank you so much for letting me know that.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
I agree with him with this whole watered down approach. Keep trying to reason. You can't reason with the enemy. You are in a war. You cannot reason with them. You sure can't reason with the devil. You can't. They won't even allow you. There's no room for rationale, reasoning, appealing to their senses. All they want is to dominate. They want their way. And here it is. We always making concessions without a doggone demand. That's what we do so well. We always want to concede just so we could be like, look, people talk about me like a doggone dog, but some of them probably playing catch up. So that's okay. Because I always tell you, you know, not only can I pitch, I can catch. Now, if I catch it and I throw it back at you, you're probably going to be done. But I'm just saying, they don't like my approach. Well, I don't like yours. You get mad because I'm loud about it? What's the difference between me being loud about the truth or how you trying to kill my people when you literally quiet and you smiling with the knife to their throat? I've never understood that logic in my life. You know, people always have a comment about, well, you're not going to get nowhere like that. Well, where are we getting with these other ones? Where are we getting with these other ones? Let's take a caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Morning.
How are you? Hey, Brenda.
I'm sick. I'm sick of this stuff. I'm sick of horse. I'm sick of Gretchen. I mean, let us start fighting back. Gretchen's numbers are plummeting, right?
Mm-hmm.
Trying to run next year. Plummeting. She lied about going to Florida. I don't even know. I can't stand a lie for nothing. She could have said she's going to see her sick father. But with this, she's throwing rocks.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get at her. We need to get at her. She don't want no fight with Detroit. But we need, if we're going to fight, we need to make it clear that we're fighting with her. So that I don't care who becomes governor at this point. Because what have we got? Where's our revenue sharing? We got a Democratic governor. Where's our revenue sharing? The one that sent us into bankruptcy. Charlie can't send us into bankruptcy. Revenue sharing sent us into bankruptcy.
She hasn't even done anything about the for the pensioners. You know what? Anytime you could get away with it. No, let's back up. Here's a woman who ran on a platform talking about she gonna fix the damn road. You not fixing no damn roads. And just like Duggan ran on a platform about rebuilding neighborhoods, and he hasn't. But we keep letting, because of who's saying it, we keep letting them come into our faces and lie to our faces, and then, you know what, and treat us as if we're disposable garbage on the street that they could throw out, pick up when they want to, whatever. And nothing happens. For her to take that position, first of all, the way that she did it, Brenda, 3 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, get out of here. How weak is that? I thought she was Big Gretch. How weak is that? Because you know what? She only gonna be as strong when it come against probably coming after somebody like me, somebody like you. But you know what? Where your real strength and energy at? You letting Mike Duggan sit up here run you. I thought that was the whole purpose of getting a woman in charge, because they wasn't gonna go for this. And she's sitting up here acting like a damn little girl on a playground. This is bull crap. And you can't just attack us.
She can't win the governorship without Detroit. That's our power right there. And let's start the fight. Rumble, Because she just fired shots at us.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see how many people are going to call her office and tell her she was wrong. Tashana hot on Facebook, put it on Tashana. She runs her campaign.
Oh, yeah.
I want to jump to Forrest. Forrest has entrenched themselves in that community over there. Some people pay their bills over there, get their food over there and stuff. And he didn't have to say anything. But he's playing Uncle Tim now. And we need to treat him as such. We don't need to fight with Horace in public, but we are going to. We take him down. Davo ain't that important. He must think it is that he's going to get away with something. But he has a long history of stabbing. Detroit is in the back. How you going to be community and then go against the charter? We had meetings over there. Focus group meetings. He didn't come to one. Nope.
Wait a minute. Oh, I forgot about that. You're right. We had focus group meetings over there, and we had charter subcommittee meetings over there.
Yep.
We sure did. I forgot about the focus group meetings being over there at Daybo too, and we had charter commission meetings over there. But the fact that he's making comments about us passing the plate, like he made it very personal. And my thing is, if it's so personal, you didn't even think to pick up the phone to call one of us to ask us. You know what I mean? Or either how we get, and if you wasn't gonna participate, this is just how I feel. He didn't participate in any of the process. He didn't walk 50 feet down the hall to be in there. I'm just saying. You couldn't even pick up the phone before you made this statement public, before you made your decision. He could have at least called one of us. So now you've taken a strong position in opposition to the work that we have done with the people of Detroit. I find that problematic without even hearing from us. But you have spoken to the mayor. You know, first it's proposal in. Now it's this, and then the fact that he makes a comment, he know it's some people who don't like the mayor. I thought he didn't like the mayor.
Gotta go back even further. This alliance with Gilbert. Remember when Gilbert wanted Randolph, the street of Randolph, and he was in those commercials for Gilbert. Then you remember he sat with Maroon.
Yeah.
I mean, now he's sitting with DTE. Come on now.
Yeah.
Come on now. He got a long history. Remember, he was thrown out of church. I mean, literally, they put their hands on him.
Look, this is my thing. We got a lot of people in this community who are leaders, who are getting money from a lot of these people. So that's one aspect of it, right? The other aspect is, what kind of power and control can they have that you don't even come and talk to any of us? You don't talk to any of us.
They're getting that money. They're positioning themselves. But how better or how much better off are we? We're fighting the same.
Well, I don't think them getting the money.
And now we gotta fight them too.
Yeah, well, because I don't know if them getting the money was ever supposed to improve our quality of life. Nah, that's what they said. Oh, okay. Okay. I hear you.
Oh, no. We need to sit with them. You know, if we get.
Well, wait a minute. You're right.
Tell us what to do with the money. We do it to help our folks. You remember all them statements?
No, you're right. But you know what? We need to sit with them.
Come on now.
But why is it that we need to sit with them, but then Horace and his coalition didn't need to come and sit with us?
I say that all the time.
Yeah, but they don't need to come and sit with us. That's.
But you know, I mean, I got integrity.
That's right. Well,
I'm here for my people. Not for me, for my people. And my people are 60% of the residents are at or below the poverty line. Now, if you can take care of yourself, I love you too, but you don't need me like the other folks need.
Yeah. And also, and who are these people? Who are these state lawmakers? Don't you think we really need to know their names, Brenda, these state lawmakers? I think that's very important. Why weren't those names revealed? Why is Horace the only one out here on the front? I mean, I know that's his decision. That's not my point. I'm just saying they said it was a coalition. That means a collective group of people coming from different capacities, you know, to organize. So who are they?
We don't know, and we don't even know if that's a lie. Because as far as we said, we're sitting up here lying.
Nah, it's not a lie, because don't forget, Duggan was trying to influence and persuade state lawmakers last year to go against the charter. So I believe that there are some state lawmakers who have said yes. They probably, because don't forget, next year is an election year. So then he's probably gonna make sure that they get certain donations to their campaign, and they said yes. We need to know who these state lawmakers are. Now let me tell you something. In a minute, if somebody don't start talking, we're gonna think it's all of you, and that's not gonna work well. That's not gonna work well. But
well, as far as Congress people and state reps, we might well throw them up because we about to be redistricted, and we don't even know if they're gonna be around.
Well, the only person that I know supposedly that's on our side is Senator Betty Jean. That's the only person who offers and reached out to support us in any of the efforts with getting opinions and everything. So that part I am gonna say. Now the rest of you, I'm gonna ask you to step up publicly and tell us what your position is, because we need to know. We know Marshall Bullock over there with Duggan, so we could just count him out. But who are the other state lawmakers? So we need to find that out, and we need to put that on the record, who they are. But thanks, Brenda, for calling in. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye. All right, we have our guest, Miss Barbara Winder.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, thank you. Hope you are too.
Yes, I am. I talked about the background. I talked about how Mayor Duggan had a great week last week. He brought on a Black sister who a lot of us have definitely commended her on her great work and felt like we could go to for the real news stories. And now we don't know how this gonna work out, only for the simple fact that he seems to be able to heavily influence those that we formerly thought were of our ilk, and he flips them over like a pancake. So we're gonna have to wait and see what happens with Miss Vicki Thomas. I hope that she is going to be the center of truth in that office, but I don't know. The Duggan effect is something else.
Yeah, it is. Those paychecks are awfully influential.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
They can change your mind at a moment's notice. Mm-hmm. I have great faith in Vicki Thomas. I'm going to stand by her and what she's done in her career, and I'm going to hope that she's going to stand by what she has done. And if she finds out that it doesn't work, I'm hopeful that she'll be gone. And if she finds out that it works for her, then we'll see if it works for us.
Yeah, it'll be the first, but we'll see. It'll be the first. We'll see. He does know how to attach a good price tag to changing the minds and buying off some of our people. I just hope she don't fall into that, but we'll see. We'll wait this one out. So
yeah,
we received a letter from the governor's office after 3:00 on a Friday, going into the weekend, and with opposition.
I understand that is an old political strategy. Now, you're not nearly as old as I am, but I can tell you that even before my day, that was an old political strategy to drop it at 4:59 on Friday afternoon. Yeah. And then let them do what they have to do over the weekend to see what they can do.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's some people you can't give time to get their program together. Some people you need to drop it on them and have the press right there. Yeah. And it's amazing to me. Was it interesting to you that these people, the mayor and the governor, they operate by news releases, press releases?
Yes.
They want to sit and talk to you or find out, what you're thinking, any of that. But I'm sorry I interrupted you.
Well, that's what cowards do. But that's what cowards do. But go ahead.
Yeah. That's to me is kind of a cowardly act. And But go ahead. You were going to say that something
I
else.
said, so we received that letter. I know that you probably had more time to, you probably made it through the opinions. I know that there are a few areas in there, I agree, of where we can edit the language,
Yeah.
to, I guess, even if it's 70%, or 99% in line with the law, they found this 1% where it could go either way. I like how they were so diligent in their efforts, except for communicating with us. So I say all of that to say, so I think you and I both are in support of, there may be a few areas of where we could amend some of the language. But let's talk about the overall context of the communication, the document that we've seen. Did you two find that it seems that a lot of it was riddled with personal opinions that were not complying with this large, this great level of legal deficiencies? That was the term that was used.
Right. Substantial and extensive legal deficiency. That was the language. Yeah. And you're absolutely right. So I went through it to see what those substantial and extensive legal deficiencies were. And at most, I could count 5. And then after going through it a second time, I realized that at least 2 of those that I had counted were opinions, personal opinions, not legal opinions, but personal opinions. And so I went back again and I came up with, again, with 3 that I would, as a former practicing attorney, I would consider legal objections that I would answer to. But I did not find 5, and I was relatively disappointed, to tell you the truth, because I thought that perhaps there was going to be more, and it would cause us to need to look at it a little closer. But I'm happy to be able to say that we don't have to look at it too much closer than we've already done. So our work is pretty much done, and it's out there, pretty much ready to be received back from the governor and to go to the people. So that's, I don't know if you hit on that or not, the fact that
No, I
the
didn't.
governor. Oh, okay, all right. So I'm really happy about the fact that it's come back to us the way that it has, and that we don't have a whole lot of work to do. We certainly appreciate some of the personal opinions that were expressed. And if there's a way we can clear up the language so that other people can understand it better, that's a good thing. We are all in this together, and we're all here to try to work it out for the benefit of the people. So, do you want to talk about the legal objections first, or should we talk about
Yes, I
something?
would. Yes, I would. Please go ahead.
So, the first legal objection was in view of the fact that the bankruptcy court kept jurisdiction over the city in its bankruptcy confirmation order. And given that the city is still under that bankruptcy order, there are certain limitations on the city that it can and cannot do. So to that extent, what we might have put into the charter that will conflict with the bankruptcy confirmation order, we need to look at that a little closer, because there are certain limitations. One is it limits the ability of the city to reduce the pensions for city employees. So anything that we've said that might affect a limitation on the pensions for city employees, we need to take another look at. And
Agreed.
even, okay, yeah, of course, we are the first to say, I'm a
Yeah.
former city employee. We are the first to say that we don't want to we don't want to affect the retirees and their pensions. So, and I'm also saying this in view of the fact that we have a general counsel, and we will certainly have general counsel take a look at this, and he will give us an opinion of whether or not we have included anything that could limit the pensioners, the pensions of the former employees. Then there was under this same confirmation order, there is a limitation on the increased spending by the city
Mm-hmm.
without commensurate increase in revenue. So that doesn't seem to be a major issue to me at this point, especially given the largesse and the wonderful contributions that are coming to the city from the federal government. So the revenue of the city is being increased, whether it's being increased by tax dollars from us directly, or if it's being increased by revenue sharing dollars that we should get from the state, or if it's being increased by federal dollars that are coming to the city. So again, we'll have general counsel take a look at that to see if we are in conformity or out of conformity. And then there's
I had one comment on that
Mhm,
point when I was reading
mhm,
it. So I agree with you because we have a huge influx of stimulus money that's coming into the
yeah,
city. But
mhm,
also, when you think about the way that we worked with the public to draft these revisions,
mhm,
it is we took a look at what was existing. So I want to be clear, all of our revisions are not necessarily in addition to, right?
correct.
Some of it is in place of, and it's actually going to be a cost savings to the city of Detroit. And I
It
think
could
that
be.
that is not being brought out to the public, which we know, that even when we look at the write-ups and everything, they give the mayor the majority of the context of the news articles. And when they're showing him on the news, the same thing versus what we're saying. But we need to figure out a way.
Mhm,
Leaders will come back with our analysis that everything that we just didn't add on as an expense. And all of these revisions are not a costly expense. They're making it as if every commission that we created is a commission that's going to receive a stipend. No, we talk about adequately funding, right? Those are the words that we use. And what that means is that city council should be able to do their job. I know this is a reach now. This is a reach. City council should be able to do their job and to figure out the most feasible way to implement, these commissions and these revisions. So I just wanted to say that I
absolutely.
agree with the money that's coming in, but even once that's already exhausted, a lot of these revisions will save the city some money. Go ahead.
Exactly. And point of fact, one of those is the recommendation that's been made through the fire department, through the focus group for the fire department. They have made a recommendation that, according to their analysis, could result in a savings of over, I think, maybe $2 million plus a year if
Mm-hmm.
implemented. And
Yep.
I say that with a question mark because I can tell you, in case anybody wants to know, no, I have not read every page of this 147-page document, but I
Mm-hmm.
have relied heavily on the focus groups to inform me and give me bullet points and give me their summaries of what they have recommended. But I have read that one specifically, and
Mm-hmm.
I trust that what they have come up with, because they are former fire department employees in management positions, and they would be in a position to know what they are recommending. So that's number two within
Mm-hmm.
the chapter bankruptcy confirmation order, chapter 9. And then the third one is any changes to the city's participation in a regional water authority that, according to the state legislation, the city is limited in whether or not it can or cannot withdraw from a water authority. Now, you'll know that water authority to be the Great Lakes Water
Lakes,
Authority.
yep.
Absolutely. And it is amazing how the majority of the outstate population, which has no interest in the water authority at all, can write legislation that would lock in the city of Detroit to contractual obligations once they have entered into this regional authority that would limit its ability to withdraw. It's just amazing their interest in the city, because most of them are outstate people because they didn't want to live in the city. So I can't imagine what interest they would have in the
All of
city now.
a sudden.
all of a sudden, Detroit becomes the center of attention. So we'll have to look at that and see if there's any way that we can have any impact on the regional authority. And of course, the major selling point to that is that if the city would withdraw, we're talking about some $50 million a year that it may not have in its budget because of its relationship with the authority. Well, as Mayor Young used to tell us, if you let them get control of the water, they got everything. So we've let them get control of the water, and that they've got control of everything. And I can assure you that if we're now getting $50 million through the water authority, that there's more that could have been gotten. There's no question that this is not the best bargain that a part of the grand bargain, I believe it was called. Yeah. So we move on from there to chapter 10, which was responsible contracting. And they've opined that there are federal limitations on that under the, I believe, Davis-Bacon Act or whatever. But that remains to be seen. Yeah. And that is as to money that comes to the city from the feds for certain work, as in, quote, highway works with streets and traffic and all of that. And if the feds say that you cannot have a limitation on who can work on those projects or who's employed on those projects or whom that money can go to, if the feds say you can't do it, then of course we can't do it. We know that, but we'll have our general counsel take a look at it to see if we've done that actually. And then
I want to comment on that. So let's talk about that Davis-Bacon Act, which is a federal. Mike Duggan, these contractors that he has been, so graciously awarding all of these large contracts to for public tax dollars that don't hire Detroiters. I just always have to get that plug in because, it's so true, right? It's a reality. There have been several violations and failure from the city to enforce and ensure that they are compliant with the Davis-Bacon Act. And I find it quite interesting that our good old Attorney General can see a clear violation in opposition to our charter with that. But you still haven't said anything about all the violations that have come from these contractors and the city's violation to make sure that they fulfill their duty and responsibility to make sure that there is compliance with the Davis-Bacon Act. I just find it so interesting how people can poke holes in the work that will help support the people. And I'm not saying that our language, doesn't need to be amended. I'm just saying those same two sets of eyes that they're using on this charter, well, why didn't you use it on the city? Why didn't you use it on the mayor? Absolutely. I was just wondering. That's just all. Go ahead and continue, Commissioner Ryan.
Yes, okay. All right. Then the third, you know what? Let me digress a moment because I said three. Therefore, technically, therefore. Okay. There are technically immigration status, another protected classification, which is pretty much under the same argument as the federal contracts. If the feds say you can't do it, you can't do it. And they've cited case law that says that the city has no authority to enact a charter which is expressly limited by the Constitution and state law. So if there's something in the immigration status section that we've put in that, and that's why I have three and not four, because that's a if we have put anything in that section that contravenes the federal and state law, then we can't do that either. And of course, General Counsel will look at that. And finally, there is the Wage and Standards Board, which prohibits local governments from requiring wages that are higher than state minimum wages. So whatever Michigan's minimum wage is, then we cannot, as a municipality, have a higher minimum wage than the state. And those were the four objections that they had. And of course, as I said, we'll take all of that to General Counsel and have him analyze it, digest it, look at it from the perspective. Fortunately, he has the eye of having looked at the most recent revision to the charter. He's read it. He's very familiar with the charter. and he'll be able to look at their recommendations to see what, if anything, we need to amend. The rest of it, well, I think it was a 6 or 7 page document, included what ifs, if then, we think, it is my thought, in my experience. Those are words that we use, none of which is legal language, mind you. Doesn't stand up in court. So we appreciate all of that. And to the extent that there might have been something in those what ifs, it can, if it can make the charter better, we want to make it better. But for
That's
right
right.
now, it is as it stands with the input from the citizens, and we don't want anyone to lose sight of that fact that this is a document that was created for the people, by the people, for the
By the
people.
people. That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
Let's move on to what I think is being overlooked as a clear attempt to suppress the vote of Detroiters. I have great concern with the governor's behavior in the way that this is being rolled out. Again, I mentioned earlier, Commissioner Winder, that we didn't receive any notice that this was coming down a pipeline. You had several other people that already knew early on, to totally disrespect and disregard that we are duly elected commission. The work that has been done, in conjunction with the public, who are to the constituents of the governor, and to roll this out in this manner, I have an issue with that. And it just, in my opinion, reaffirms what we have been saying prior to this decision being made, is that the mayor was pushing to have strong influence to get the governor to oppose this charter and others. And based on the article that we read, seems like it was true. This is exactly what has been happening. But we have a governor who is supposed to be leading independently and not allowing from a local mayor to have great control over her office. And even if we amend these 4 areas, do you have concern that then there will be something else from the governor for her to continue to oppose this charter, and not that it will make any difference with us still moving forward to get it on a ballot? I just want to know your thoughts.
Well, I was looking for something in her letter that would have said that with these corrections, improvements, amendments to these sections that we find objectionable, I might be in a better position to approve the charter. But I didn't see anything like that. So I have no idea of whether or not, it would satisfy her if we sent back to her those changes that we've articulated and that we recognize. And further, she didn't say anything to make me think in her letter that she was looking toward receiving any amendments and would want to approve it. No, I don't think so. I don't think so. I've been very disappointed with her. She's not acting like a Democrat to me. Democrats work with Democrats, and I think majority of the commission are Democrats. And it's amazing that it comes a time when, as Democrats, you don't work with all of us. You work with a certain group of Democrats. They are acting a lot like Republicans to me, and I know that if the Republicans were in office, in the mayor's office, that the unions would be up in arms about the way that they're behaving toward this charter. And I've used the words that the unions would have, marches around with stakeouts and all kinds of things to object to the mayor's behavior. But they've all been quiet. Democratic Party has been quiet, and certainly it's been quiet as to the whole suppression of the vote posture that the mayor has taken by underfunding the Charter Commission. I would expect the Democratic Party to come out and do as it's always done, and support the efforts of a revised charter, especially since some of the unions have participated in this. They were focus groups. They came to the table. They offered their
Their
ideas, and
attorney. You had Tim Grimer at the table. You know what I
absolutely.
mean? Who's an attorney? What asked me. And so I find it greatly concerning seeing how that both the AG and the governor are going to be seeking union support, and they'll still probably give it to him. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, yeah.
But you know what? You also mentioned something else about the fact that, how the Republicans would behave. Well, I think the problem is that we have a governor that's so busy talking about what she did on her campaign trail, crossing party lines and making sure we sit down and come to a resolution, but you can't even give the same decency and respect and opportunity to people who are supposed to be within the same party for you. Even though this is a nonpartisan race, the vast majority of people who participated in this are Democrats, and they supported her. Not all, I'm just saying a vast majority. And out of respect for your constituents is what I'm saying. This should have been done in a different way. But to my point earlier, they're a bunch of cowards. Her, the way she rolled it out, right? Because I don't believe in all of this, and I say this all the time. Don't find your voice with me, cowardly lion. Go find your voice with somebody else. Go find your voice with them white supremacists up there who was talking about kidnapping you. Don't find your voice with us down here in Detroit, because you just think that we a bunch of, po folks in the city or whatever. But her approach was inappropriate. I bet you she had a sit-down conversation with the mayor. You had one with the mayor.
I bet she had a one-on-one with the mayor as well. I wouldn't be surprised. I've been very disappointed with her, and I don't mind saying so. Yes, I supported her, but I can assure you that given the way that they are behaving now, that I will not support her again. I thought she was a woman like myself with a big, strong voice and not afraid to step out and do something progressive, but I'm realizing that she's not being progressive at all in a lot of areas, not just this charter. But I'm not going to move on. I'm not going to talk about all of that. I'm going to talk about what it means under the Home Rule City Act and where we are with what we've got. I want to, if you don't mind, I'd like to talk about that a little bit. You don't mind?
Yeah, but I also want you to touch upon the violations of the Home Rule City Act from the local level and how that's not being addressed at the state level. Go ahead.
Absolutely. Well, we've been saying all along that the city council the city council initially and the mayor's office have been violating the Home Rule City Act, which is the authorizing legislation for the writing and revising of a city charter. And it started the night of our swearing in, if you will recall, when the clerk came forward to swear us all in and then to conduct the election, and I objected. And the city was represented by its law department, which said that the clerk had the authority to swear us in and to conduct the election. I objected again, and then I requested a legal opinion, and we went forward, and the clerk conducted our election. Well, they had to come back, if you recall, with the law department, head of the law department, if you recall, to say that they in fact were incorrect and that I was correct, that the clerk had no authority to conduct our election.
And the clerk didn't know that.
And not only did the clerk not know it, but two lawyers from the law department didn't know it, who are municipal attorneys. They clearly didn't know. Nor did they have the aptitude to whip out their charter and read where the authority does not lie with the clerk, or to whip out the legislation and to read that and to state that the Home Rule City Act does not authorize it. So, the ineptitude right there, as well as an effort to subvert, usurp, and take over the charter. That was the first. We go forward with funding for the charter. As you recall, the first act of funding that year, we went through the Budget and Finance Committee for the City Council, which is proper because the Home Rule City Act states that the legislative body is responsible for the funding of the charter commission. So we went through the proper procedure. We got our money. Our money was allocated, and we proceeded to the next phase, which was another budget and finance hearing for the next year. However, it didn't happen that way. That way, it came down to us through the mayor's office, through his executives, through his
No, the
executive.
second one did. No, correction. The second one went through the right process and went through Budget and Finance Committee. It was the third one, which was last year.
Okay, sorry.
of
Thank
where
you for
they
the correction.
changed it.
Thank you for correction.
Mhm.
That it went through the executives instead of the Budget and Finance. So we
Yes.
have two cases then of and I let me, as an aside, again, I was not treasurer at the time that the second one came through, so I don't have that information as accurate as I should. But I do know that the third and finally now where we are have not gone the proper process.
Right.
It has not gone through the legislative branch. And for why? Why not? Why has it come from the mayor's office? The mayor has no role under the Home Rule City Act in the charter's budget preparation, in what is included in the charter, except as another office of government, if you please, to give a proposal, to send his people to listen, to send his people to make a comment. That's the role that he has. He has no role. The mayor's office has no role in producing a financial budget for the Charter Commission. Now,
without abusing his authority.
Without abuse, absolutely. Nobody, in all cases, nobody has the authority to do anything illegal or to abuse their authority, period. That's understood. Now, let me go back to former mayors. Mayor Young, Mayor Bing, both at the same time where they could produce flyers, handouts, and other material, whatever those commissions saw necessary to be able to inform and educate the public about what was in the charter. Both of those protection of voter rights, protection of voter involvement in the process, protection of voter input. Why is this mayor so intent on voter suppression? His idea of what we can do with $30,000 is to be compared with what prior charter commissions have had to spend in excess of $100,000 and $150,000. He's telling us that we can do the same thing for $30,000. One charter revision commission, the most recent in 2012, asked the mayor, asked the city council for $191,000. They got $191,000. They returned about $60,000 to the city because they did not use the money. So that's what I mean when I say that some got in excess of what they asked for. Why are we not getting nearly less than 40% of what they asked for? And we're 6 years later down the road, and the cost of everything has tripled probably in the industry. Why that? So these are that are being used to keep the public from knowing that there are sections in the charter about reparations. They don't mention that. Well, there's no cost to that. There's a cost to studying it. No cost to the reparations. There's an action to be taken, but there's no cost to reparations because we have not said that there should be reparations in this amount of money. And in fact, in no section of this charter have we said there should be this amount of money, because the financing of the activity or the action is not put upon the Charter Revision Commission. That is not their statutory duty. It is the duty of the municipality to find out how, discover how, come up with creative ideas, how to implement the charter, how to assess the cost of it. That the cost of it is not incumbent upon the citizens. How are you going to ask me to cost out what you personally think should be reparations for you? That's why we've suggested an advisory committee. Come up with a number, come up with a proposal, come up with how we should approach this so that the people can agree on what it should be, as opposed to, well, my thought, I'm not going to settle for less than this, or you're not going to settle for less than that. That's not what we put in here. But we have put in here the notion of reparations. And we put it in.
disability. We've addressed persons who have been disenfranchised, living with disabilities. We put forth a board to address the issue of reparations. Also, to make sure that we secure a little bit more the making sure that the city is going to meet their pension obligation, right?
Yes.
We've addressed affordable housing and also affordable water, some really good thing and development in this city to make sure that there is definitely increased transparency and opportunity for Detroit contractors and Detroit developers to be able to take part. But let's take a caller because they've been on hold. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning. Can you hear me well?
Yes, we can hear you well. Hey, T.
Oh, wow. First of all, that's the main thing I'm going to say is, oh, wow. It's really amazing to me. First of all, what really got to me on this whole ordeal when Horace Sheffield said we need to work together. We're in your building that you guys paid for us to come to the building as subcommittees about economic development, and he never walked in there.
Never, not ever did he. Not ever did he walk into a meeting that I was in there. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
Yeah.
I
Not ever.
have a real issue with that. For you to get on here to say what's not right, why didn't you come talk to the residents and state your opinions then? Everybody that's stating their opinion, 75% of them have never set foot into a charter subcommittee meeting. And if they've been to y'all meetings the last 2 years when it first started off, that was tick for tat all day long. When it got down to the meat of it, you guys got together. We sat down and had a conversation. I would like to know, because personally, who I think wrote that, Sheila Cockrell wrote that.
Good point.
That's the only person I know that was sitting in those meetings not saying anything.
And she'll be on the one next week. Not saying anything.
Not saying anything. If you felt it was so wrong, why didn't you speak up then? Why didn't you guys say anything? Here we're listening to stuff. We can't even make educated decisions because the city never sent anybody down to discuss why this wouldn't work. When you guys asked how much was in the budget, when you guys asked for information when it came to funding, when you asked for land bank stuff, that's why minutes are so important. Because when they were supposed to be there, they didn't show. Now, you might not have liked the person who was running me, but it was residents sitting there waiting to see what you guys had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And you never came, you never shared any information. But I sure got a whole lot of information about proposed land.
Yeah. You're going to get a lot of information about Duggan.
You had to know to tell somebody to raise money. Why would residents have to raise money to be educated and we are the employers? Because we elect y'all.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Why would I pay? Why would y'all have to go raise money? This is not a campaign for you. This is residents. If it was your personal campaign, fine. But this is not a personal campaign. This is something to educate residents. If it's somebody don't like it, come back to the table. But for the governor to say, did you guys collectively work together? Did she ask? How did you guys come about this? Before you put an op-ed or you made a comment or turned something down, did you come talk to the people and ask them why?
But that's the problem. And also we have this coalition of people who we don't know. You must be scared.
Here's my thing with the coalition.
You must be scared, but the governor's doing the same thing, like just throw a rock, like you only want to talk to one side. That's the problem. Even if you don't agree with us, you should have at least come to the table and spoke to us. You didn't even give us an opportunity.
The cards on the table, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
Residents can make an educated decision. I can't make a decision based off no information. There's no transparency, and that's the problem. If it's gonna hurt us so bad, put all the information out here. Don't tell me. Show me. Where's your budget to show me where it's gonna hurt? Show me where you don't have the money to pay to educate residents. Show me.
That's right.
If that's the case, show me. If you want me to believe you, put it all out here. Let's see all the pictures. Because see, here's the thing. They keep talking about we illiterate. One thing black people can do is add.
We can add,
We
okay.
can add and subtract, baby, all day long. From grandma with a pencil and a piece of paper to on the phones, whatever, we can add and subtract. You ain't gonna play us like that.
Yeah.
So put it all out there. They like, you can't read all your verbiage, but they sure know how to add and subtract.
That's true.
Put it out there. That's all you have to do. If you put it out there, then we can say, okay, well, you know, maybe they right. Maybe we can't. But if you're not gonna show me the money, don't talk no shit about what they doing. Because we made decisions based off of nothing because you never gave us nothing.
And I think that that's the most dangerous part right there. Is
right
that
there, they never gave us anything. If you gave me the information, because I damn sure can read and write, and I know how to look at budgets. Say down where a bunch of them.
And a lot of them don't know the process. You know, you have people, even in city government, they didn't cost this out. No other charter. And that's what I also think is very dangerous in this process, for us to go to a city council body and you have them saying that we didn't cost this out. You don't understand the role and the process of this charter commission, obviously. You know, that is a problem.
Well, here's the thing. This is my biggest thing. We never actually, especially in my lifetime, I can't say prior to, but in my lifetime, for me voting 30 years, I've never actually seen the charter work because we've always been under some type of hold.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you if the 2012 charter would work because it
emergency
never worked
management
ran by the state.
Yeah.
So that's first and foremost. So a lot of people's interest is not there because the first thing we're so here that they're talking about bankruptcy, going back into bankruptcy. That means you're saying we won't have control. Obviously, we don't have control now because you're trying to dictate what we should do.
Well, we go from emergency management hold. Now we have to hold a Mike Duggan. And that's what people really need to understand.
Control. And see, here's the thing about us.
Yeah.
We have a problem with the division of have and have-nots. And the haves really don't have it at all. But the mentality of our communities is so corrupt with, I got to get mine.
Yeah.
We're all suffering. I have no problem with anyone engaging in the process or getting money from the city to help other residents. I have no problem with that. Just do what you're supposed to do.
Right. That's right.
That's the problem I have. You know, you can talk about, oh, they crazy, they this, they that, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. So how can I effectively say anything's working when everything's changing and no one's coming back to the table and telling us?
Because they don't, it's all by design, you know, all of this. But thank you, T, because we only got 15 minutes left, and I got a couple other callers.
You know what? It's all a bunch of BS. And Horace ought to be ashamed of himself. He had
he not.
You had 300 students that you said you only had 140, and you talking about accountability. Don't get me started talking about that. Y'all have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Let me just throw in a little something here that I've been waiting for. Mayor Young had a quote about people like Horace Sheffield and Conrad Mallett. And it's included in his book of quotes. It's called The Little Red Book of Quotations from Coleman Young. I'm not going to say what it is right here, right now. But if you get a chance, it's probably about page 14, 16, somewhere there. Mayor Young has a very good description about those kind of people.
Well, listen, I think that there was a lot of great information given by former Mayor Coleman Young that our community have taken, have decided to ignore, and we really need to go back to really see how he's laid out exactly what will happen. Let's take our next caller. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning.
Uh-oh.
Thank you for taking my call, Nicole.
Yes.
This is Elena.
Uh-oh, Barbara Ann. Here we go.
Elena who?
She said Elena who? She wants you to be specific. Elena who?
This is Elena Herrado calling from District 6, Detroit, Michigan.
All right. We're supposed to talk about District 6. We'll have to do that tomorrow. Go ahead, Elena.
I just wanted to say that there was one thing I wanted to mention quickly, and that is if the city council members have a budget, they could combine and contribute to getting the document printed if they wanted to show support for the change. So they could actually take their money and get that document printed if they wanted to do it. I know that would require them to think, but that's another story. Now, the other thing I wanted to raise is Duggan is very clearly put in place to make sure that Black people know that they have no power. Mm-hmm. And this is what he did during the bankruptcy, mm-hmm. by meeting with Kevin Orr, and this is what Duggan is there to do. And this is such a slap in the face. And they want to say, we can do anything we want to Detroit. Yeah. And we have already proven it. So to not even fund the printing of the document, and always to be able to find people to stand with that, the same people that stood next to Wendell Anthony and all of them when there was supposedly a new elected school board, when we had been on the board all those years, they get the same people and pull them out and stand there next to Duggan. This is actually really an issue of Duggan saying there are no rights that Black people have that white people have to honor.
Now, Elena, don't you remember when this Bill of Rights, were you there when the Bill of Rights was being pushed? Remember they had a press conference. It was Councilwoman Lopez and Councilwoman Sheffield.
Yep.
That's why I don't understand. And one of Horace's biggest issues is about the power of a mayor, because, you know, if his daughter gets in there, well, she supported the Bill of Rights, which said, and you remember this too, Commissioner Winder, in its original context, they didn't even want the chief of police to report to the mayor.
Right.
You don't have a problem with that. Wait a minute.
They didn't care what they put in it because they had no intention of fighting for it.
But this is my thing. He doesn't have an issue with that. You know why? Because you don't know the process, because you didn't come and talk to us. You don't know what really happened, right? So you don't have a problem with the group supposedly led by your daughter saying that they don't even want the chief of police to report to the mayor. And then you're going to take issue with the fact that we still get the mayor a vote on selecting the doggone chief of police, and the other two entities. It's not just some board, it's the board of police commissioners, my God, and the city council. You have more issue with that than what your daughter's group originally wanted, which was to make sure that the chief of police don't even report to the doggone mayor. Now you make that make sense to me. See, that's the part that I really find insulting, to throw all of these shots to our work.
But you know, it doesn't have to make sense to them. And you know, those other people that they already had lined up to be on the charter commission before we even knew it was going to be on the ballot, they knew if it wasn't what Duggan wanted, it wasn't going to pass.
They sure did.
They see Duggan is really just a placeholder for corporations. Duggan is an absolute non-entity. But for Dan Gilbert and those who are really running Detroit, they knew that if they didn't get the document they wanted, they could just say it's not going to pass.
And you know what? And they're stopping at nothing to make sure that happens. I agree with you, Elena. Thank you so much for calling in.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Now that's the part that really just gets to me, is that a lot of these revisions came from the Bill of Rights and all of these attacks that are being on. But you know what? We do need to get on the record a couple of things. We need to know who these state lawmakers are. Commissioner Winder.
Absolutely. I would have that in my notes. In my notes, I have, I want to know, who is this group of concerned community, religious, and political leaders that Reverend Horace Sheffield spoke of the other day? I'd really like to know who they are. And I'd like to know, why do the governor and the mayor have such little respect for the community that they make their positions known to the press before they communicate with the community and the people? And these are the people you came to for a vote. And these are the people actually that the mayor's coming to right now for a vote. So you need to answer to people so that they will understand why you are taking a position against their charter. Again, you know, we did not write this charter. We embellished upon what people recommended, but only the embellishment was only in terms of being sure to put it in language that was made it an acceptable document. But as we said, we had focus groups. We had over, what was it, 300 some proposal, 500 proposals.
Submissions that turned into more than 500 and something revisions. Yes.
Absolutely. And as an old person who's been around here doing this kind of activity and community involvement for 50 some years, I am very proud of the fact that we had that kind of citizen participation. I can tell you that there hasn't been this kind of participation by citizens in anything in this city since the late 70s, early 80s. There have been rallies and all, but I mean, to sit down and to come up with a document that reflects their goals, aspirations, and all, it's just amazing to me that it even happened. And I'm so proud of the people who participated. And I'm hopeful they and their groups will come out and represent and take an opinion, take a stand on what you did, on the work that you did. Don't let your work be swept under the rug and disregarded like you're nobody. The mayor speaks
and by the invisible mob. This invisible coalition, this invisible mob. Don't allow them to do that to you.
Exactly. Don't allow them to do that to you. Don't allow them to relegate you to a position of being totally without any kind of power at all. This is the document that you wrote, and you need to stand by it. I want to mention also, Nicole, the other aspects that we didn't list when we were talking about reparations and affordable housing in the charter. There's also areas covering police abuse, transportation affordability. Oh, the mayor thought that it's just so funny and crazy that people would even want to have free transportation. Well, Mr. Mayor, we didn't suggest that the whole city should have free transportation, but we did suggest, and when I say we, again, I mean the people, and I consider myself one of the people. The people did suggest that they would like to have affordable transportation for people who cannot afford it, so that they might be able to move about the city to look for work, become employed, therefore contributing to the tax income of the city. That to me sounds like an increase in revenue, if you please, that for the price of a bus ticket, you might be able to get somebody who is going to become employed and generate income. I don't think that's something to scoff at and to as the kids say now, to do a side eye to. I think that's something that folks would really, really appreciate. And we know people like the senior citizens, for instance, and people that you're trying to get downtown to the TCF Center now, and you're offering us $50 to take them. How about you come up with the idea of a better purpose for that $50? How about if those people could get a free bus ride downtown? How about that? And they wouldn't have to ask their neighbors to take them, nor would you have to pay their neighbors to take them down there if they could get a free pass. I'm sorry?
Where's that $50 coming from?
We don't know. I have no idea where it's coming from, but I'm sure that there's some corporate entity out there that is going to help him subsidize it. And if not, then it's us. That's where it's coming from, us. Then there are a host of items that all of these items recognize the people who lived in this town since the white people deserted it in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, and 80s, and went to the suburbs and went to Canton, Novi, and Livonia, and all those places. These are all things that people who stayed here have decided that they want. And this is a way to recognize that they stayed here and that they helped this city through the difficult days when the city didn't have money to do certain things. There were people like myself who could have moved to any of these suburbs around here who chose not to and stayed here and is still paying exorbitant automobile insurance, property taxes, being over-assessed and still paying those, buying gas that's twice as much sometimes as it is in some of the suburbs, or paying a premium on using my credit card as opposed to paying cash. All of those things, paying more in the grocery store, no matter how large it is and no matter who owns it, paying more in the grocery store. People like me, we've expressed that we want these kind of things in our charter, and this is what the people are going to be fighting for. How dare you scoff at this and try to make it look small? It is not small. I am insulted by the way that you have turned your nose up and your head aside and your eyes to the side with what people have recommended. Why do you think why do you think people, now I'm talking to the people, why do you think that these people are so adamantly fighting against this charter? This is voter suppression. This is another way of doing the same thing that they did in the old days when the old people had to recite the Constitution or count the jelly beans in the tin tub or whatever it was in. This is the same thing, no different, just a different face. Same people, different face.
Well, you know what? The mayor seems to be relentless in his efforts. He will, I would say, manipulate the facts, but some of these are just blatant lies. Like when you look at the verbiage and the language versus what he's saying, they are blatant lies. He will, during an election year, stop at nothing. He's willing to suppress the vote around this charter because, you know, his commentary is, why would I want to suppress the vote? I'm running for office. We didn't say you were trying to suppress the vote for the entire election, just around the charter. But you see how he does that, you know, his level of arrogance and that privilege comes out. And he knows that there's no one there to challenge it, because he know if I would have been there and he would have made that comment, we could get it all clear out on the line on the table. You know, and it's so condescending the way that he talks to, you know, a city that's majority Black and brown people, as if we're just so stupid and ignorant. And you know what? I hope people come out and they show them different. I hope that people show them that they do have some standards around what they deserve and around what their constitutional rights are. They have a right to be able to read this document and have access to it. It is the city's Constitution. But any last words before we go, Commissioner Winder?
I want, as an aside, I want to announce that I will be speaking to the women of Plymouth, which is Plymouth Church, on Thursday evening from 7 until 8:15 regarding the charter. Yeah. And it will be by way of virtual. And I'm going to ask if the listeners who are interested in hearing more about this charter would go online to Plymouth United Church of Christ. That would be PUCC. And it's plymouthchurch.org. And you can get the link to listen in. That's my advertisement for the day. Secondly,
okay.
Secondly,
and you'll also post that on your page, right?
I will post it on my page. It will be posted on your page. It will be posted on emails and text. And anybody who's listening who wants to see it should be able to get it there. And it probably will be on the charter's website as well. So we'll get it put there because we'll be talking about the charter. I guess one last thing I'd like to say is that I am terribly disappointed with the government of the city. I am terribly disappointed that the people who are in charge seem to think that we were incapable of performing as well as we all performed. Again, when I say we, I mean we the people, not myself and just the Charter Commission, but had little faith in what was going to be produced. And now you see that the people have expressed themselves. You don't want to play fair. I'm very disappointed. It's like I should take my marbles and go home and not play with you anymore, but I'm going to try to bring you along with me so that you can become as progressive as I am. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. It's always a pleasure to have you here on the show. And thank you to all of you who listened to us today. We hope you share this information. Listen, we have a huge lift in front of us, but I believe that we can take care of it. We can deliver a win. The charter will still be on the ballot. We need you to share this information and get people pissed off about the fact that their vote There's someone that the mayor is attempting, along with state lawmakers and this so-called coalition, to suppress their vote. This is serious, guys. You know, this is just a test. They could suppress your vote around this. I guarantee you will see a higher level of voter suppression because they will know that they could get away with it. So be back here tomorrow, 8 o'clock. Join us on the Nicole Small Show. Everyone be safe and take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Good day.